Because in 1962 you had multiple voting, somebody could vote many times. You had ballot stuffing, somebody could just bring papers and put them there. You didn't have registers which you were sure of. And the voting was in a Bisakati, in enclosure. So we said, please, can we discuss how to vote accurately?
40 years in power, multiple electoral cycles, rising opposition movements, economic pressures, and yet the national resistance movement has returned with one of its strongest presidential results in decades, with President Yoweri Museveni securing 71.6% of the vote, a sharp rise from 58.6% in 2021 and the highest margin since 1996 when he won by 73.3% against Paul Kawanga Semogere. Historically, the numbers have fluctuated from 73.3% in 1996 to the dips and recoveries that followed in 2001, 2006, 2011, and 2016. But this latest victory stands out. So what changed? Was it strategy, grassroots mobilization, state machinery, a fragmented opposition, or something deeper within the electorate? Today, I move beyond the celebrations and the headlines. I speak to the Secretary General of the NRM, Honorable Richard Todwong, for a general perspective of this result.
New Vision TV.
Thank you, Honorable, for joining us today. Let's first talk about what exactly the NRM did to acquire this splendid win in 2026.
Every election has its own opportunities and challenges, and the grounds are quite different. This time, the election was easier for us because the members of the party were well mobilized. The general direction was well known to them, and the message was clear. The candidate was unanimously agreed upon. So our work was just to coordinate all these efforts and making sure that they were channeled through the structure of the party. And that was how the victory came. That is one, which is also a plus to us, but also the organization of the party to make sure that that process is actualized up to the last person. Because you will have, for every election, there are three things. There is the candidate, the message, and then the institution, the structure within which the candidate and the message gets to the voters. So we organized this very well, and we were prepared enough to make sure that the message of the candidate got to the people in time, they understood the message, and then the structure of the party were mobilized to augment the effort, and they reached everywhere in the community, and so we were ready and we were prepared. The bulk of it is for President Yoweri Museveni as an individual. Many people voted for him because of his qualities and his abilities of how he has transformed Uganda over the last 40 years. But also the party came handily to make sure that that process is enhanced. So ours were we were the support structure that provided the enabling environment for the candidate to excel. But most of the work was mainly for the candidate. Yes, would have won, but might have been with a different margin. Because there are things that people attach to President Museveni as an individual, which might not be the case with another candidate if we had another candidate. His insightfulness about Uganda, his effort to make sure that Uganda is transformed, his personality, his calmness, his attention to details, these are things that are personal to him. And yes, they brought on board so many other candidate supporters who were not NRM, by the way. So many people came to support President Yoweri Museveni because of him, and they are not NRM members. So if we are to have another candidate, maybe those people will not be able to support that candidate. But yes, him as an individual brought on board so many supporters for the party. We realized that in urban areas, because of congestion, because of the demand, The nature of the population in urban area is quite different from that in the villages, because the urban population feeds on bills. They pay rent, they pay everything. Moving from one point to another is money. Everything about urban life is money, and it's quick. Whereas in the village, someone has a garden, he's not paying any bill, he doesn't pay electricity bill, doesn't pay water, he doesn't. So there is no need to rush, to hurry. But the ones in urban areas, their demands and characteristics are different. So we understood all that, and we designed programs that reached out to every sector. We had a team that was looking for those in garages, we had a team that was looking for those in the supermarkets. We are looking for voters at their workplaces. Urban population are always at workstation, they're not in their homes. So we designed a campaign that was focusing at people in their workstations, the factory workers, the hotel workers, the garage people, the market vendors, even the prostitutes. We reach out to all sectors of people in urban areas. And that was how we managed to get to the population. We had a special team that was running through the slums, all slums of Kampala and Wakiso and Mukono, all the towns were teams that were moving in the slums. We started immediately because the national calendar is very clear that even after 5 years there is a national election. So a political party should work backwards. And we started this by updating our membership register. That was the first step we did. We concluded the work very well. We got to know how many members we have in the system, how many of these are voters, and how many are registered to be voters. And so we were prepared. Once we were sure of our record and our data, we tested this data with the party structure elections, where we elected 30 people from the village, from the parish sub-counties. When we realized the election was peaceful and everybody was happy, we now waited for that record to be tested in the primaries for flag bearers. And all that was mobilization throughout the time. So we were busy throughout the period.
What were some of the most toughest moments during the campaign season?
Well, there were a few challenges. The sense that, like you said earlier, in urban areas, people still felt we are not doing much. They still felt there is a lot of reports on land grabbing in urban areas. They are talking about corruption in the public service. They are talking about poor quality of service deliveries. People complain of money being paid in hospitals, government hospitals. UPE schools are charging highly. Those are areas that brought a bit of challenges in the campaign, but mainly in urban areas. But nevertheless, the rest of the campaign was very peaceful. Our logistics supplies were very good. The T-shirts were enough for everybody. Though those who did not come for rallies were also demanding for T-shirts, it became a very challenging thing for us to supply T-shirts for everybody, and so on and so forth. So, but nevertheless, regardless of the challenges that we face, the campaigns were very smooth and peaceful. The only problem is our friends in opposition did not know how to handle such. To them, they would speak and blame President Museveni for whatever bad things Uganda is facing. But for us, we are saying, instead of blaming them for misguiding the population, we are speaking to the voters what they should hear. Where jobs are got, where income can be got, where money is, where wealth is. And people started comparing the messages, the message from opposition and the message from NRM. They realized there is hope in our message. And that was how they came to support us. You know, people, election is about hope. We are dealers in hope. And so we brought in that hope in them, that there is hope in NRM, that once we go with NRM, there are things that will be fixed. And they see this. Every organization should expect such contradictions. Even in the church, there are always contradictions. Where there are two or more people, there are internal contradictions, personal contradictions. So to find an organization like NRM with about 20 million members, not to have a conflict or a contradiction, that is being expecting too much. But yes, we acknowledge that we have so many of those, mainly came out of the competition we've been having, internal competitions for positions. but we managed as a party to streamline our rules and code of conduct. The first thing we did is that the party made a register which was very authentic to everybody. And when they were going for elections, our registrars at the villages were demanded that they should read the names of members in the register to the public, and then the members should be audited to make sure that they are really resident in a particular village. Then we go for elections. That exercise brought a bit of calm and confidence in the process. The only challenge we got was that the electoral officials, some of them were compromised by candidates, and that was why there were a lot of tribunal and a petition in the tribunal. But we have managed to harmonize that. There was a team that was headed by Alhaji Moses Chigongo, which was interested in mainly reconciling members. Our team on reconciliation worked so hard and reconciled so many people. So yes, we have those contradictions and we have been able to manage them.
The opposition says the political playing field has not been level this year. What would you say to Ugandans who question this election outcome?
My problem is the opposition expect many wrong things at the same time. One is that to be in opposition, especially opposing a mass party like NRM, you need to be more organized and smarter than the way they are. We know every 5 years there are elections. Just like now, there is a rainy season coming. A good farmer prepares for the rainy season ahead of time. We know in 2031 there is going to be another general election in Uganda. So how are they preparing for that? For us as NRM, we are now doing assessment on our performance in this election. We are now organizing ourselves to prepare better for 2031. So it's work in progress. By the time we get midterm, we shall be doing evaluation of our performance as a party and government. We shall be auditing our policies, the pledges that we put in the manifesto, and then we shall be cross-checking our membership in the villages. How solid are they? And then preparing now for 2031. So the preparation starts now. We are not going to wait until late. So if they're not prepared, if they're not ready for that, maybe they are not, it depends also on the purpose of why they're a political party. If you're a political party to serve an individual, then you can be late in everything. But if you are a political party to serve the masses, like we are a mass party, then you start preparing early, because the issues involve masses. Confidence in NRM, because Uganda is peaceful. Even if European Union were shouting the way they were shouting, the country is very peaceful. And then it shows that people trust their government, they trust their verdict, the democratic verdict they put. And two, if opposition were an issue, then maybe they would not have turned up to vote for NRM. Because the opposition did not even, they were not significant in the campaign. They were very, honestly, we didn't feel them. We did not feel them at all. You go to a place, they are not there, they have never been. Our campaigns were very systematic. We were addressing rallies per district. We went to all the districts of Uganda. I am sure all these opposition parties, very few might have even done half of the districts of Uganda. So the style of campaign, the nature of their campaign also affected their outcome. Yeah.
Elections about promises. What are the priorities that the NRM is looking to complete in the next 5 years?
In the president's message, it was very thorough and clear that we need to keep promoting peace and stability in the country. We need to continue intensifying infrastructural development, the roads, the electricity, and all that, to make sure they reach everywhere. We need to distinguish them between development and wealth creation. So we need to fight poverty in households. He talked about UPE, PDM. He talked about promoting and improving UPE quality and health system, water for production and domestic use. So all this, and he was emphasizing where wealth is. Where do we get wealth? Wealth cannot be got through salaries. Wealth is got through work. And where is this work? In industries, in agriculture, in ICT, in services. And he was explaining this very well to the population. So that will be our focus in this term. we realize that the young people, some of these problems are generic. You see our education system up to when we changed the curriculum was mainly focusing at processing graduates for a job market, which market was not there. All these degrees we have given our children, they are not mainly degrees that industrialists require. When the country is developing through industrialization, the nature of jobs that industrial sector demands are not the jobs that our graduates have. They're not the qualification that our graduates have. The industrialists will need machine operators, they need carpenters, electricians, they need technical skills. So we now need to remodel these young people to rechannel them into a technical field where their labor can be demanded for by the industrial sector. Out of that, we shall be crying of lack of jobs, lack of employment, this and that. Yes, the president in his wisdom started the hubs, the skilling centers that has now absorbed so many of these urban youth. It is helping them to reprocess them into skills that the market requires. Many have gone back to do carpentry, bakery, they are going for saloon and all that kind of skills, tailor, because these are the things that the urban areas requires, so that they are able to continue to live life in an urban setting. And so now when they study, they even have circles within their district where they get money. And all of these circles have been given 50 million shillings. You study, you get the skills, you go to your circle, you get your capital, you go and start your business. And we intend to expand this to make sure we put more money in this circle for the young people, and more young people be taken for this skilling and upgrading. And in the next 5 years, I'm sure, the result will be different.
The NRM celebrated 40 years this year in 2026. After decades in power, what do you think you're going to do to avoid complacency or laxity in the NRM?
We need to continue improving on our governance processes. We need to improve on the quality of service delivery. We need to be attending to the calls on effective service delivery on the areas of education, health, water, roads. We need to make sure that we fight laxity and laziness in government. We fight corruption. We need to make sure that the community is involved in the governance process. When we start a project in a place, let the owners of the project, who are the people, get involved. And so we also need to help our leaders to understand that they are leading for the interests of the people, not for their own interests. So governance is a process that involves everybody, and we need to improve in a few areas to make sure that the people that have given us their mandate do appreciate what we are doing.
Thank you, Honorable, for speaking to us today.
New Vision TV. Stream smart, stream New Vision.